Hi, everybody.
Hello.
It's Amala.
It's Risa.
And today we're going to be talking about hot nannies.
There was a viral tweet on X discussing if a woman should hire a hot nanny in her household.
Yeah, I guess they had a big booty Latina running around their house, taking care of their white children. And apparently a lot of men were like, hey, this is a no-go. This is a red flag. Do not hire a hot nanny. A lot of women were saying, I would never hire a hot nanny. This is a big mistake. It's going to ruin your marriage. Maybe first we should show everybody the clip, the nanny in question, and then you guys can come to your conclusions and let us know what you think. Here she is.
Este es nuestro primer año oficial juntos. Sí, pa. Pues pa. Si no estás aquí. Juntos. Un niño grande y fuerte. No eres un bebé. Ay, no lo puedo creer.
Si quieren que les enseñe cómo hago el pudín de chía, les puedo hacer la receta. Es fácil y es delicioso y es saludable. ¿Cierto? Vamos a celebrar que estamos en nuestro primer año, ¿cierto?
Okay, right. You get the gist.
Yes.
Do we need to show much more? Yeah, so this was going viral, and a lot of people had a lot to say about this and about why they were uncomfortable with it. Maybe we can read a few of the replies here. This one is from Catholic Orca, which, keep that in mind, Catholic, says, just gonna be 100% honest. If you put a nanny like this in my house, eventually most men are gonna make a mistake, especially if she's the one cooking, cleaning, taking care of my children, while wifey is out being a girl boss in an office. Woo-wee. That's quite an admission.
Yes. And there were a lot of tweets saying, why would you assume that the nanny wants to fuck the husband?
That's true. It's a bit audacious. There's a lot of gall in these men saying, like, I'm gonna make a mistake. Are you sure she's gonna make the mistake back? But is she going to make the mistake though?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting. My knee-jerk reaction to seeing this video is like, you know what? Well, first and foremost, let me give you my baseline opinion on nannies. I don't want to have a nanny in my household ever. That's just a personal preference for me. No judgment for people who have nannies or who need nannies, because most households have to be a double income household. I'm very fortunate to be able to work from home and do what I do. But no nanny for me, just because I want to be taking care of my children. Now, if I had to get a nanny, my knee-jerk reaction is I'm not getting a hot nanny. It's just like inviting issues and fantasy for what? For what reason? Why am I going to go out and create more problems for myself?
You know what they say, if you're on a diet, don't keep bad food in your household.
It's true.
I agree with this sentiment a little bit. I can understand that a lot of men would be tempted. And of course, no matter what, they're going to acknowledge and look at her with some kind of attractiveness or lust, whatever. Mm-hmm. There are going to be thoughts that going through their brain.
Yeah.
I don't think that most men would fold and cheat on their wife just because there is a hot nanny in the household.
Most men, I have to think about that. I think a lot of men would fold. If you said, here's a young, hot girl in your household, and you have to think about the dynamic of a nanny, and I think we'll pull up a video about this specifically, but she's in your household, she's taking on wifely duties in a traditional sense, and she's doing so happily because you're paying her, right? She has to put on a smile and be like this bubbly personality or whatever. I think a lot of men would fold for that. Now, we hope we have the strong ones. We hope we've done enough of our due diligence and we have enough discernment to pick a man who's not going to take a fleeting, although optimistic opportunity in comparison to his wife. But you never know.
Yes, and I think it's also to the level of how much is the nanny involved? Is she a live-in nanny? Is she there full-time? Is she alone with your husband? And I guess for me, like, I'm visualizing a part-time nanny where you're able to say, hey, your job is to do this for this amount of hours, and here are the boundaries. Maybe my husband's not even going to be home when you're home, and me and you are going to be the only ones contacting because it's about our children. So I don't think she would actually be in direct contact with my husband personally.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think it's about being smart, access that IQ, ladies, because if you're going to hire somebody, especially somebody attractive, you probably want to be their point person, not necessarily your husband. And I know a lot of people are going to retort back, well, it looks like you guys are, dating the wrong man or you're picking weak men. There could be an aspect of that. But I think most women are not able to acknowledge the collective thoughts that most men have. And they kind of think, oh, you know, but I have one of the good ones or whatever. Even if you have a good man who's not going to act on his impulses, the impulses still exist. Mm-hmm. And you should not deny that.
Yeah, and I think that men will always have those thoughts, and the disciplined men will choose not to act on them.
Yeah.
And I think the not disciplined men will act on them, whether she's attractive or whether she is non-attractive.
That seems to be the case. Yeah, you said, you know, a lot of people get cheated on and they see the person that their husband cheated with and they're like, damn, she doesn't even look as good as I do.
And for a lot of men, it's always about the chase itself.
Mm-hmm.
And yes, if you put a hot young person or just another woman in your life, there's a chase that's sat right in front of them.
Right. Yeah, and you're kind of inviting it. Somebody tweeted this out. Let's read it and see if we can agree with this. This is from Bees. Says, this is perfectly reasonable. You shouldn't hire a hot nanny for the same reason you shouldn't hire a hot personal trainer for your wife. Mistakes happen. Several years ago, something similar to this happened in my marriage where my husband had made the mistake of hiring a gardener. That's crazy. A hot young gardener. For those of you who know Desperate Housewives, this is very Gabby Solis. She says, my husband would go off to work in the morning and I'd be left alone in the house. The gardener would arrive at 10 a.m. and I'd be polite and usually invite him in and bring him something to drink if it was a hot day. I certainly found him attractive. It was undeniable. But that's just a normal human reaction, so I thought nothing of it. Sometimes if I was just in the kitchen, I'd watch him from the window. Admittedly, sometimes too far, too long. On extra hot days, I'd get the special treat of watching him take off his shirt and seeing his sweaty, ripped body glistening in the sunlight and his muscles rippled under his
graphic.
This is crazy. This is a crazy thing. If I was the husband and I found this tweet alone, I would be like, yo, I really did make a mistake. I cannot believe she's writing in vivid detail seeing this guy. I'm just looking. He's just eye candy, I'd think to myself. Well, clearly not. We're going to scroll down a little bit further. She says that she had an encounter with this gardener where she looked up at him, was unaware that she was biting her lip, and he was certainly aware of the fact that he was having on me. She didn't go into details about what happened next out of respect for her marriage, but we'll say it was nothing short of the most fiery, passionate display. I feel like I'm being trolled here with how vivid this is.
Yeah.
And they're saying, but it was a mistake. Do I regret it? No, because I learned from the experience, and I hope in sharing this, you all know that you too can learn from my mistake and not make it yourself. Is this even legit at this point?
And, you know, I was trying to find some facts about who people cheat on. And majority of men cheat on their woman with a coworker. But then there was about half of that, cheat on somebody with someone that you know. And then most of that was a coworker. But then about half of that was a caretaker. So it's definitely a common prospect if you're a cheater.
Right.
We found this video from a high-profile divorce lawyer discussing the fantasy among sleeping with your nanny.
Why do wealthy clients like to sleep with the nanny?
I have a theory about it. I think that what I call the nanny fascination, I think that it's not that hard to understand. Like, the nanny is a lot of the characteristics of the wife, right? She's good with the kids. She's there to be a supportive other to the husband. She's a helpmate, you know, but without any of the autonomy and agency, without any of the, like, she's an employee at the end of the day. I think she's also a version of the wife. Like, she's a version of the wife when the wife was just a woman. Like, she has a life outside the home. Like, when she's not nannying, she's out doing stuff. And so she's got things to talk about. Like, she's gone places. She does things. There's something mysterious about her. One of the advice I give in the book is that wives can embrace the part of themselves that's the nanny. Like, take the time to, like, don't let your spouse and your children eclipse who you are. Like, who you are is who your husband fell in love with. Your kids exist because a man and a woman found each other attractive, you know? And so don't forget, in your desire to be a good parent and your desire to be a good partner, don't forget to be really good to yourself and to cultivate your interests and your passions and to try to enjoy them as best you can, you know, without shirking. Obviously, none of us wants to shirk our responsibilities to our families and to our children, but you're important. You're important to each other. You know, remember who you are. Remember the value you brought to the relationship.
I agree with this. I think it contradicts some of the critique of the video on X, because a lot of men were saying, well, while she's out being a boss babe and I have a nanny taking care of my children, that's what's more attractive. But at the same time, it's like this balance of, yes, you need to be the one taking care of your children mostly, but you still have to have passions and hobbies and have a life and a personality outside of being just a mother and a wife.
Yeah, I think a lot of men, I can see that contradiction. A lot of men don't necessarily see the girl boss part of women as something that's particularly endearing. When they're thinking of like passion and hobbies, they're thinking like she loves to hike, or she takes care of her body, or she's a singer, or she's a dancer. And they're not necessarily thinking about like the career that she's going to that requires the nanny being there. So when he's saying maintain the parts of the fantasy that the nanny is keeping alive, I think men are not typically thinking about like the girl boss side of women. They're thinking about like the attractive, fun side that they met when they first encountered one another. Which, you know, sometimes with family and kids, it's really hard to maintain.
Yeah, especially when you're doing both.
Yeah, and you should try though. Like I saw, and a lot of women disagree with the idea that you should try once you're like in a marriage. They think that you have locked down the man, you have the kids, that's it. I no longer have to do anything. I saw a video of Rihanna talking about how she does her makeup and like likes to look beautiful for A$AP Rocky when he comes home and when he sees her.
But you still gotta keep it together, because when Rocky comes home, I don't want to look busted either, you know? There's the first half of the day, and then there's the dad's coming home.
And all these women were complaining and saying, this is the objectification of women and you're just a prop in his life. Well, in the same way that she probably expects A$AP Rocky to maintain his manhood and the things that made him attractive when she first got with him, she's doing the same for him.
Yes.
And that's how y'all lose to the nanny, to be honest.
It's a deeper thing rather than the cheating itself. It's what have you done not to maintain your relationship and having your partner love you for the same person that you met, that he met you.
Right, and then you get called, oh, you're a pick-me, you're such a pick-me bitch for saying these things. No, I'm just being realistic about what maintains relationships and, more importantly, what maintains attraction, which we all know like dwindles in a lot of cases. The longer you know each other and the more committed you are, you have to make an active effort to sort of keep these things alive.
And that's why I was more on the side of, I don't have a problem with having an attractive nanny. I obviously don't think a nanny should be there that much. I believe I should take care of my children. Yeah. But I know that I am going to take care of myself. I'm always going to look my best, and I'm going to marry somebody who is disciplined to be around hot women. Like I'm probably going to be the type of person that points out hot girls when I see them, because I just don't care. Like it's okay to appreciate beauty. And I don't mind if my husband appreciates the beauty. Of course, I just want him to be disciplined enough not to act on it.
Yeah, and I can see that too. And I think we have very similar temperaments when it comes to how we act in relationships and how we feel about like other women being beautiful. It's just a fact of life. Like there's going to be more people who are, you know, attractive, more attractive than you out there, but for different reasons. And you've been married or in a committed relationship for a reason, and you hope you're with somebody who can understand that, recognize that when they're experiencing temptation, and go back to where, you know, their roots are, rather than trying to plant a new tree.
Yeah. But but you have to maintain who you are and for your partner as well, so they don't feel that need.
Yeah. I will say though, if it's the choice between an ugly nanny and a hot nanny and they're both qualified, I'm going with the ugly nanny. Okay, I'm not.
Hey,
don't get it twisted.
We saw Arnold Schwarzenegger. It doesn't matter what she looks like. Okay.
That is true. For some men, it does not matter. They just like to chase the opportunity. Okay?
You know what I was thinking too? Like if you were a woman that were so like, it's like insecure about it. If you're like, I gotta see your workplace before you start that new job. Yeah. If there's any hotties there, find a new job. Get to interviewing. Like I can't let my man be around anybody hot.
There's a lot of skanks in this town.
You know,
it doesn't work. It doesn't work. I think women who are like that actually make men think about cheating more.
Yeah.
Because it's more at the forefront of your brain and like the things that you're doing. So now they're like scoping out the scene before you even do it. Tricky subject, guys. So you're okay with a hot nanny.
I'm okay with a hot nanny. I guess I don't want this to be taken the wrong way. I would like a foreign nanny too.
Just to like balance out new culture.
Yep.
Okay, fair enough. So for Reese's future husband, any big booty Latinas in the area,
Colombians, get at me. She's
She's ready to hire you. Well, we'd like to hear your thoughts on this, guys. What are your reactions to the hot nanny? Are you going to let one in your house? And men who are listening right now, if your wife does, how are you feeling about that? How is that changing the dynamic in your relationship, if it is at all? Yeah.
If you've cheated
with the nanny,
or with just someone because they were in front of your face or in your environment, tell us why.
Yeah, please do. Expose yourselves in the comments. And if you like this video, like, subscribe, click the notification bell to be notified every single time we post a video for you guys. Bye, guys.
Bye. See ya.